Championship contenders are 1 and 2 in both the grid for this race and the standings. Jimmy Vernon qualified well, progressed 2 positions and finished 3rd, which equals his best result of the year. Danny Studdert will be towards the front of the field. It's a terrific grid. There'll be some stories about drivers coming from the back as well. Lewis Leeds, unfortunately, had a fuel pressure problem in that car. Didn't even make the start of the race yesterday, Greg. So watch for the 23 Red Racing driver to come from the back of the field.
And a little bit of class action that we'll update you on as well. This massive field, more than 20 cars. Pro leaders, of course, the Pro-Am class. Danny Studdert, who you mentioned before, doing a terrific job there. And, of course, Class B with Christian Pancioni. So we're in the starters' hands here. Not far away, 12 laps to come. And yesterday, Cooper Murray getting the job done, as Krause said. But Max Vidal, winner of the opening round at Tailem Bend in South Australia. 3rd in the championship coming into this one. Let's see what he can do today.
Good start, Max
Very good,
Vidal.
but some action behind it. That's what caught my attention. So
Danny Studdert, I think the Pro-Am class leader, Rusty, stalled on the line. So it's a carbon copy of the Jim Richards endurance race on Saturday afternoon. Perfect start, Max Vidal. Simon Fallon away nicely as well. He's in the red and black car that's in 2nd place. The pole sitter drops back to 3rd. Yesterday, Fallon thread the eye of the needle through the 2 guys on the front row and ended up leading for half a lap. This time he's got to 2nd. That was exactly the start Max Vidal needed. He's got to put some ground between himself and Cooper Murray if he wants to keep contending for this championship. Behind them, a good battle. Chelsea Angelo up to 4th place. Has jumped Jimmy Vernon. This is the battle for the lead as they run down into turn 4. Still quite cool here this morning, Rusty, so the Michelin tyres will take a couple of laps to get up to their optimum operating temperature.
Fallon, this is good, isn't it? Through the centre part of the circuit, muscles his way past Max Vidal, and that gives Cooper Murray just a little bit of an opportunity to keep that 3-way battle well and truly alive. Down to the final turn. Fallon mid-track, Cooper Murray up the inside and up into 2nd position now.
That's cost Max Vidal 1st to 2nd to 3rd. Was unsettled coming out of turn 5, and he tried to go the long way around Fallon, who was blocking on the run into turn 6. Cooper Murray, who was exceptional on the brakes there yesterday, made some really surgical moves down the inside. He's gone through. So Vidal back to 3rd, the championship leader 2nd. Simon Fallon now finds himself out in front. Already a couple of race wins to his credit earlier this season.
Oh, Murray gets ragged, yeah.
16 years of age, this young guy. He has been the find of the season, Rusty, in a championship that's got...
Oh, huge lock-up.
A lot written on it. That's big for Vidal. Just gets it stopped without going so far out that he gets stuck. But he's going to drop a few spots. Gee, that's disappointing.
I wonder if he released the pedal there, worried about absolutely killing that tyre. Unfortunately, good decision by Cooper Murray. He knew that it was going pear-shaped. It's all worked out well there for Chelsea Angelo in the midst of that. Had a word to her team boss, David Wall, this morning on the way to the circuit. She lost a 10th or 2 in qualifying in the mid-sector, the mid-part of the lap, and he said it genuinely cost her a spot on row 2. He thought she was good enough for maybe 3rd in qualifying.
Top 5 cars in qualifying were covered by 3/10 of a second. It's ferociously competitive. This championship this year with a bunch of young guys and girls at the front. Remember the Super 2 season? We had McLaughlin, Pye, Waters,
2012, wasn't it? It was excellent.
This has got that written all over it. These 5 or 6 young guys and girls at the front of the field, supremely talented, driving really good teams, really good cars, and operating at an extraordinarily high level, putting on a great show. Fallon, 1.7 seconds to the better of Cooper Murray, who finds himself in a similar situation to yesterday's Jim Richards Endurance Trophy race, only he's got 28 laps less today to find a way past if he can get to the back of the number 96.
That's a great parallel that you draw with the Dunlop series. There is that kind of talent. Having a little look here at Max Vidal, who's back, in fact, in 8th position at the moment. So I would love to know from the Sonic team just what state that right front tyre is like and how much it will perhaps hamper him over the remaining laps in this one. So it's Fallon leading from Murray. Good first sector from Cooper Murray, but best lap of the race so far, a 1 minute 11.91. Not the same sort of pace that we saw perhaps in qualifying, but Fallon with a lead of 1.3 seconds.
Watching the battle for 3rd and 4th place. Chelsea Angelo for Wall Racing. Behind them, Jimmy Vernon, the young Sydney sider for McElrea Racing, locally based team. There's Wall Racing, watch it on. David Wall calling the shots. Reigning champion in the Porsche Wilson Security Carrera Cup Australia, and having a reasonable defence of his title so far. Not leading the standings, but still in the mix with a lot of racing to come. The top 1 mate category, Australian motor racing. Really impressed, like you said, with Chelsea so far. Didn't quite get qualifying right, but really happy with the long race pace in that car, and her consistency as well over a distance was really impressive yesterday.
And she started with the pace car, that pace-backed car that David had so much success in 2017. Of course, then there was the incident at Sandown, a big rebuild for the team in order to make round 3 of the series at Phillip Island, but she's bounced back. This third at the moment will be doing her a huge amount of good, but she is facing pressure. Jimmy Vernon doing a nice job for the McElrea Racing team.
And picked up some new sponsorship coming into this weekend. The Gold Coast-based Platinum nightclub down in Broadbeach. Jimmy was out of this round. Financial dramas, it was all over. Put a post up on Facebook. This shows you the power of digital media working for good. The owners of Platinum Nightclub saw that. They've been involved in the sport through Rob Woods, who also races in GT3 Cup Challenge, said, do you know what, this is a great story. We're going to jump on board and help you get to Queensland Raceway and keep your championship campaign ticking over. Why is that important? He's fourth in the standings, fighting for a top 3 result in his first season of one-mate Porsche racing. Great story. Great to see the young guy back on the grid.
He works hard, and spoke to him at the opening round at Taylor Bend in South Australia, and was already doing the kind of hustling, the chasing that you're talking about. Successful, of course, in the Toyota 86 series in 2017, and the McElrea Racing team know how to shape and nurture and work with talent, mate, don't they? So he's eyeing up, trying to get a third place finish here at the moment as we approach the halfway mark of this one. Big day of racing still to come in our live stream coverage. This is race 2 of 3 for the weekend for this class.
So Fallon continues to lead. The margin now about half a second. Cooper Murray's rattled off a string of fastest laps to close that gap down in his Ash Seawood Motorsport Porsche. There's the margins 1 to 2, then 2 to 3 is a good gap. Chelsea Angelo. We go back to Brett Bolton. He's leading the Pro-Am class. He won his class yesterday. Spoke to Warren Luff, driver coach to the Stars and hairstyling extraordinaire expert. He was coaching him through that race from the exit of turn 3. Really impressed with his performance throughout that. A local driver in the bold living car, putting in a great performance on home turf.
Well, I'm sure there's a sponsorship opportunity there with some hair product for Wazza, isn't there?
Been underutilised in his career so far, surely.
So Murray with the lights on, chasing Fallon, gap down to half a second. And there's some space to Chelsea Angelo and Jimmy Vernon. We go back to the 84, Bolton, Dan Day, a guy who's had some experience, of course, in Super 2. Day there in Car 2, having a look down the inside. Under brakes, can he get it done? He might. He'll get it done, and Vidal looking to capitalise there too.
That's a really good move. Dan Day's another driver just looking for a solid weekend with confidence. He missed the last round of the championship. Unfortunately, he was another victim of Sandown's infamous Armco barriers and had to reshell his car between rounds. So he missed round 3. He's come back this weekend, strung a pretty good performance together yesterday to get in the top 8, and he's marching his way forward in this one. Max Vidal going with him. A couple of young Adelaide boys from South Australia working their way through the field. And that's smart racing from Brett Bolton as well, Rusty. He doesn't need to compete with these guys. They're a great benchmark. Different class though. Pro V, Pro-Am. He's got a class championship he needs to worry about.
How cool to benchmark yourself against this calibre of driver. And I've spoken over time with people like him about why they do this. A bit of sideways action starting to happen through turn 1 here. And it's a bit like playing golf with a pro golfer, wouldn't it? If you can benchmark yourself against an absolute professional like that on race weekend, that's a great place to play.
A lot of commentators say that working with you, Rusty.
No, they don't.
Benchmarking themselves.
I wish they did. Murray now right with Fallon. I should also give a quick shout out to Christian Pancioni as far as Class B. He's in the top 10. Great work.
Had never driven not just a race car, but a car before this year. So 15 years of age. Ash Seawood picked him out of go-karting and said, I think you've got some ability. They went through the whole process of actually learning how to drive a manual road car, straight into a Porsche 944 Cup car, a test day at Winton. And then he went, no, you're ready, into a Cup car, away you go. He's currently leading the Class B championship and won that class yesterday. Great story.
Super impressive. And I know I get, in the past week, I've had a phone call from Barry Hay, who looks after the engineering for the man currently running in second place, Cooper Murray, and he, I probably won't use it during the commentary here, but he describes Murray's talent quite glowingly, and he's drawn parallels with other drivers that Barry's worked successfully with in supercars over the years. His ability to digest the data, make it work, and I thought yesterday in that hour-long race, he drove with real smarts, didn't he?
Absolutely, and that's been a hallmark of his championship so far. Max Vidal, who's been his closest rival on pace, though we're probably underselling the effort that Simon Fallon has had so far this year. A couple of wins, he was 7 points behind coming into the weekend, dropped a few more points after the race yesterday. But you're right, if the opportunity isn't there to make a pass, he's not going to risk a Hail Mary. He'll just bide his time. That's exactly what he did. But at the same time, his racecraft is exceptional for a 16-year-old. I saw him this morning in the Porsche paddock. He's getting breath tested. 16-year-old. Not sure if he's ever had a drink, but the random breath testing is for everyone in the paddock if they need it. Battle is on for the lead. There's 4 to go this time by. Cooper Murray has won 6 times this season. Simon Fallon 2. The moment the Sonic Porsche is holding on, young graduate from the Cams Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship. Open wheel graduates right throughout this field, Rusty, from Formula 4 and Formula Ford, stepping up into one-mate Porsches and hoping to follow that Porsche pyramid, the run up into Carrera Cup. And then, who knows, the Matt Campbell path may open for them to go overseas, and who knows, you could find yourself winning a Le Mans 24-hour.
That was a mega story, wasn't it? And fantastic for this class, fantastic for Porsche Australia, fantastic for McElroy's team as well. It's been tremendous, and it's great inspiration. It is a source for these guys to, you know, they often talk about the fact that if they can go on and do something like a Matt Campbell, you know, a huge future awaits, considering how long they are. Just to your point too about the standings coming into the weekend. Naturally, we've had a race yesterday, and we'll update the points throughout the coverage today. But coming in, Cooper Murray 461, Fallon 414, Max Vidal 342. That was heading into the race weekend here, the midpoint of the season.
3 to go this time by. Cooper Murray is closer than he's ever been. Simon Fallon in the race yesterday, and I'm sure he's worked on this with the engineers at Sonic. One of his weaknesses was dropping wheels off over the exit curbs, especially on the exit of turn 5. And that was costing him momentum down into that key overtaking opportunity at turn 6. So just be watching his exit of corners. Turn 2 is important. Just a couple of wheels off there again on the exit. It's just that little half of a tenth of a second on the exit of the corner in a one-mate category where everyone's in identical cars. It's those little, not even 1%ers, Rusty, they're half a percenters in this category that can be the difference between leading or getting past and dropping back to second place, especially when you've got such a charging young gun like Cooper Murray, the 16-year-old from Melbourne right behind. It's a good scrap for the race lead. Chelsea Angelo, meanwhile, in thirds, just builds a little bit of a buffer over Jimmy Vernon. It's a couple of car lengths, a slight little safety net. And back to Dan Day, who's up to 5th and doing a really nice job. Max Vidal remains in 6th. This is Cooper Murray's corner though, Rusty. He's been so good into turn 6 all weekend.
He certainly has. Just watching the behaviour of Vidal's car, I can't help but wonder how much that locked right front hurt him very early in the race down to turn 3. He's not been able to make as much of an impression on Dan Day here as I thought he would. We know what a charger Max Vidal is, so we'll get some news on that from the Sonic boys post-race. We still focus on what's happening up in front here. Fallon again a little sideways through one. That's happened on more than one occasion now, so he's one eye on the rearview mirror. Gaps 0.22 of a second to Cooper Murray as we head to the finish of this one. Murray, lights on, has a little look, not close enough to go under brakes there at 3.
So Fallon at the moment not feeling like he needs to defend too much into turn 3, but it's turn 6 where Cooper Murray has been so strong. And yesterday he seemed to move up the inside, and it may well have been on Fallon earlier in the race. And he came from quite a long way back and just left the door open, and there was no opportunity to defend. So let's see if he can do that within the last 4 or so Ks in this race. You were just pointing out on the timing monitor a great story. Lewis Leeds talked about him at the start, going from the back of the field. 23 red drivers worked his way up to 8th place. It's a good charge.
That's fantastic. Really good effort. He would have been heartbroken with that fuel issue yesterday. About to, I think, start the final one, aren't we? 1 to go. So go back to Dan Day. Now, Vidal has been able to maybe get a car length or 2, but still not enough to have a shot at moving by Dan Day. Dan Day currently in 5th position. Final lap underway. Fallon leading from Murray. It's 0.4, nearly half a second, in fact, now between the pair at the front.
Brett Bolton continues to lead the Pro-Am class. His teammate Michael Hovey up to 9th place. Christian Pancioni continues to lead Class B. He's 10th with 16-year-old South Aussie Tom Taplin running 12th overall and 2nd in Class B, as always with one-mate Porsche racing. Races within a race, within a race. Great storylines all the way through the field. Opportunities running out for Cooper Murray. I wonder if in the back of his mind he's got the thought that he's the championship leader. He's got a comfortable margin and that he's already got a race win to his credit this weekend. Maybe just conservation now, get himself a front row start, Rusty, for the final race later on this afternoon and try and win the round then. But this has been a terrific drive from Simon Fallon, looking for his third race win of the year.
A little puff of smoke there, Krause, just into that final turn. So about to chalk up another one. Great drive from Fallon. He'll take it out. Some smarts from Murray, or good points in the bank toward the title race. And Chelsea Angelo will hold out. Does a good job, in fact, to hold out Vernon. She'll get home in third.
Really strong drive, and her starts have been very good this weekend. She's starting on the second row of the grid from third place later on this afternoon. Daniel Studdert, we saw him stall at the start, our Pro-Am championship leader. He's had to work his way through the field. Sam Fillmore looking for a move on Pancioni, can't get there. That was the fight for 10th, 11th. It's the thing with one-mate Porsche racing, Rusty, and you've seen as much of it as I have, if not more. There's the World Championship for 16th position going on in every race. It's so competitive all the way throughout the field.
Well done to Lewis. Leeds gets from the rear up to 8th after those dramas yesterday, and started, who you pointed out, with the issues at the start, finishes 13th. So that's a nice recovery for the driver in the Pro-Am class. So checkered flag waves on our first of 9 races in the coverage, the live stream coverage today. Make sure you jump on. If you jump onto Facebook and go to the comments just beneath the live stream coverage, make sure you give us a bit of a shout out. Let us know what you're up to, what you're doing today in terms of watching the coverage, and perhaps who you may be following. No doubt people following the progress of Cooper Murray. Another great result.
I think there'll be a lot of them, and potentially a lot of fans in the future. Rusty, he wins. We finished second. Simon Fallon with a great victory. Chelsea Angelo third. Vernon fourth. Dan Day, personal best result for the young man in car number 2, the Bosch Porsche from Buick Motorworks. 5th Pro-Am winner goes the way of Brett Bolton, and as I said, Christian Pancioni takes out Class B.